Hi, in the next video series I'm going to explain a lot about NSX-T Federation, and I'm going to show you a few use cases and how to configure it. Before we can do that, I'm first going to show you how I set it up within my lab, and I configured NSX-T Federation inside a nested vSphere lab. So here you can see my diagram actually. And the green components are basically the infrastructure components. So here you can see one of my infrastructure ESXi hosts, and I have 4 interfaces, and one interface is used for management, and the other 2 I have NSX-T configured on it, but also my regular VLAN infrastructure. And here you can see my VDS. That's part of the infrastructure, and under that VDS you can see a bunch of port groups that I've configured, and these port groups lead to VLANs, and basically these VLANs have a default gateway configured on my switch or on my edge router, and my edge router is nothing more than a Ubiquiti router, which is the Edge 4 router. You can see a lot of port groups, and what I've done is I have configured for each site, so I will have 3 federation sites. And I think when you look at this picture here, you can see I have a site A, which is going to be called my DCA, my DCB, and my DCC. And this is just the basic configuration or the basic topology for federation. As you can see here, my DCA will basically have a local manager or NSX-T manager and a global NSX-T manager, and we'll also have vCenter server, and the site B will only have a local NSX-T manager and a vCenter server, and site C the same. And the global manager basically manages all these 3 local NSX-T managers of the sites. And if you go back to my previous drawing, you can see that these VMs here with these port groups are all there to just simulate or provide the networking for the complete lab. And as you can see here, I have a NAS, I have a control server, which is nothing more than a Windows server, which takes care of my NTP and my DNS as well, and my Active Directory. I have 2 VX routers, which are Cumulus virtual routers, to simulate the top of rack switch, where my nested NSX-T tier 0 will do BGP peering to. I have a local manager and a global manager, which you just saw, and I have a compute ESXi host and another compute ESXi host. Here embedded, you will see that my compute ESXi host will host my vCenter server and also my edge VM or nested edge VM, and here as well. So I have 2 edge VMs per site actually, and this is replicated for site B and replicated for site C. So that way I can create the whole federation topology. So let's dive a little bit deeper on this nested host here. So if you dive deeper into this nested host here, and mind the green color here, which are my infrastructure components. If we go and dive deeper into the nested host, so this is a drawing of such a nested host, and what I've told you is I have my vCenter server appliance nested inside a nested host, and also an edge transport node. And you can see here that the green, also still my infrastructure components, are connected to nested components, and my nested VDS has 3 port groups here, 1 for management, the other 2 are trunks, which are basically allowing the BGP VLANs, my overlay edge VLANs, my overlay host VLANs, and my RTAP VLANs as well. So you can see that these are all configured, or all landing here, and these are all landing on the VNIC 3 and VNIC 4 on the virtual machine, and this translates into a VMNIC2 and VMNIC3 on the ESXi side. And inside the nested ESXi host, I've configured also a VDS with some nested port groups with trunk ports to cater the actual, well, edge, to make sure that that's all gonna work. So we've seen this diagram. Before I will show you my nested home lab, or my lab environment specific to this environment. I'm just going to give you a quick preview what you can expect in the next videos. And this is the regular NSX-T topology, where you can see, okay, this is what we're used to. We have these data center A with a tier 1, tier 0 construct here, with a bunch of segments and virtual machines here, and these can communicate outside tier 0 to our top of rack switches toward the outside world, and that we will have 3 times, right? Now, if we continue here and we translate that, we can all, I guess, tie a BGP-AS to that, and make that work. Now, what happens when we are going to look at federation? So when we look at federation, these tier 0 and these tier 1 constructs suddenly can become stretched construct across multiple sites. And this is what we're going to test in a separate video, where I'm actually going to configure federation. I'm going to configure tier 0, configure tier 1, and make sure we can follow all the traffic flows. And there are multiple ways to configure federation. One of them, for example, is have the primary pods here and all in data center A, and have the rest all secondary. And this all translates into different types of traffic flows. And these traffic flows can, for example, be like this, where everything's hairpinned to data center A, and the traffic exits outside data center A towards northbound, wherever you want to reach traffic northbound. And another use case or situation, or how we configure it, is to make everything primary and basically let the VMs exit locally to the site where they are locally. So, but this is for my next video. It's just a quick review. Now let's jump into this nested lab environment, and I'm just telling you this to understand better what's going on and how I configured it. So let's first look at, here you can see 3 tabs: DCA control, DCB control, and DCC control. Before I'm going to go into these control VMs, or the control VMs, or stepstone machines, how you want to call them, I'm first going to show you the infra part. And if you look at the infra part, you can see here a bunch of port groups configured on my VDS. And let me go back. All these port groups here that you see all translates into these port groups here, the green ones. So for each site I have a bunch of port groups configured to just simulate the networking of the site. Now we've seen this, we can also look at my VM list. Here you can see I've created VApps for data center A, data center B, and data center C. And here you can see all the VMs that are actually connected to these port groups. For example, control center, the A, B, and C translates into the A, B, and C here. So I can do a terminal server or RDP connection into those machines. But also I have the compute hosts, the NSX global manager, local manager, NAS, and then my top of rack simulations. And I have duplicated that across all sites. And the only thing that's not duplicated is the GM, the global manager, because right now only one global manager is supported as of version 3.0.0. So let's close this one here, and let's continue with the DCA. So here on DCA you can see my vCenter server, if we go to my host and clusters, you can see my hosts, my VMs, and also my test VMs that I'm going to connect to a stretched segment. The vSAN server and my 2 edges. How does this look like into NSX? So I have a local manager here, and in the local manager you can see I've done some pre-configurations. I've set up my compute manager here, so you can see my compute manager is added, and I also added in the edge transport nodes, but they're not configured yet. So I'm going to show you how to configure those. And this part is basically the same how we've done our configuration before, but for completeness reasons, I'm also going to show you how to do it, because there are some minor changes when you configure Federation. There's something called an RTAP, and I want to show you how to configure this from scratch. So that's that. I haven't configured the host transport nodes yet, because I also want to show you how to do that in that other video, how I'm doing the initial Federation configuration. So the same applies for data center B. I have my host and clusters here, and a bunch of edges, my vSAN server appliance, well, maybe good to show you how I configure my networking here. So in order to reflect the picture, you can see that I have VDS configured here. I call it VDS trunk, and if we go back to my drawing, it's actually this VDS trunk, the red one that you see here. Probably need to change the name here to DCA VDS trunk, just to make it the same. But if you look at it, then you can see my trunk port groups, and my trunk port groups are also leading to my edges here to make sure that we can do proper configuration with the name teaming policies. Again, the NSX config here, I did also some pre-configuration. The compute manager is added, and my edge hosts are added as well, but not configured yet. So for the DCC, let me go to the host and clusters, also same story, and the NSX manager, compute manager is also added here, and the nodes, edge transport nodes are also added but not configured. So this is just the basic lab environment, and we're going to use this to configure NSX-T Federation. So thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next videos. Thank you. Bye bye.